Hello, hello. It has been quite the hiatus, I must say. So, just to put it out there, I am not going to be up to date with any new theories or ideas that the community has come up with recently, and my retention for the info from the rest of the series definitely has diminished over the time. So, if there's anything that I get wrong, anything that you catch or notice that I didn't get to bring up, please let me know. And we will get into it. So the story starts with Riko, Shigi, Nat, and Kiyu hanging out together. And Riko is on the sidelines, distracted by whatever seems to be in her notebook. And we see it's a list of truths, as it's written down. And she exclaims off of this list of truths that she's made a rather interesting observation about the infamous star compass, a piece of the essential part. It seems cursed at this point, okay? Riko says, quote, "How did I not notice? This relic, it didn't leak air when it was submerged in water. It's sealed. This ring floating around it as if it's protecting it. There is no doubt to me that this is a sealed relic indeed. It's already begun." End quote. And as Riko tries to put all these pieces together, all these truths together in one cohesive solution, the ambiguous nature of the star compass is not something that can be deciphered quite so easily. But off of her assumption that the star compass is a sealed relic, she thinks the best way to open a sealed relic is to smash it open with a rock, okay? And as you could probably guess, it goes flying and Riko has to go chase it. And as the boys make fun of her for this, because it seems to happen quite often, they decide to go help her. But as they're walking down the steps, Jiro and Habo turn around the corner before them. And as usual, Jiro notices something and looks over, but the kids regroup after turning around the corner, trying to hide from him. And the question of why Jiro would even be here springs up with the kids. And Shigi has to remind him that he had a meeting today. Perhaps he's on his way, and it would make sense as Habo and other people are with him as well. Now Shigi decides he's going to make sure that the star compass did not roll all the way down the hill, as it is a pocketed relic and it's most definitely not cataloged in the catalog of relics. And not wanting the severe punishment that the orphanage inflicts on the children for pocketing relics, it appears that somebody else had indeed picked it up. They had saw it, and it seems to be a mysterious black whistle. And as he stands up to his intimidating posture, we have a very interesting revelation from both who this is and what they say when they pick it up. And we see that this is Krovali, actually. And he says, quote, "What a shock. Looks just like the real damn thing." End quote. So, pretty suspicious, pretty mysterious, and definitely something we want to note down and keep track of. So, as Shigi desperately tries to explain the situation, he stretches the truth and comes up with an excuse really not too far from it, saying that it's very important to her, Riko, and as much as it makes more sense to us, Shigi is just as confused on why he would so willingly give the star compass back to him. And remembering the surprise remark that Kravali says when picking the compass up, Shigi decides to ask him if he knows anything about it, if he knows its use or anything even remotely useful for clarification of what the star compass is. And Kravali says, quote, "Heck if I know, but yeah, that thing's a gazing window. You find relics when it's your time to find them. That's their nature. And," he says, "especially that one. Seems it's still fated to go back to that lady." Now, as Kravali hands over the star compass back to Shigi, he goes about his business to go to the Delver's Tavern, most presumably, and he says his usual goodbye with his normal Diahode. Now, Shigi is obviously confused on what he even just said, and I mean everything. And as the rest of the group catches up to Shigi, kind of interrupting his thoughts on this newly revealed riddle, the friends all make small jabs at each other, as friends do, and leaving to go up the hill to test some more with the compass, Shigi takes a guess, saying that Riko's probably measuring an angle. And turning the page, we're met with quite a surprise indeed. Riko's notes of the list of truths that she's been trying to tie all together is revealed. So this is the list, okay? Truths List 5 is the name. Number 1, sealed relic. Number 2, the floating disc is a seal. Number 3, sun sphere with the question mark. Number 4, AAND. I don't know if this is and or if this is a name for something. Maybe I'm just stupid. Number 5, lucky sphere. Number 6, star hidden in noon. Number 7, special grade relic egg. Number 8, ancient bomb. Number 9, unshining star. And finally, number 10, amazing lure. So, kinda freaking weird, huh? So for anyone that is here just for the chapter summary, you can skip off now, as for the end of the video, I'm going to try to dissect the list of truths and talk about the chapter more in depth and maybe theorize some things. So, to start once again, we have our first item on the list, which was the sealed relic. Now, this is what we see Riko hypothesize about the star compass, as we saw. But also, I wanted to bring up the fact that sun spheres have a similar encapsulation, a seal, protection around an inner thing. But now that we're on the topic, the curse warding box is also sealed until a white whistle is blown. Inside, we see an egg shape. But perhaps Riko just needed to hold on to the star compass a bit longer, and maybe we would have known. So the next item, the floating disc, is a seal. Riko believes that the ring, the floating disc, is referring to the ring around the star compass, and that it's protecting the actual inner compass part. But if shapes and symbols are important to the abyss, we also know of another disc, another shape, which is the ring said to be down in the 7th layer, where some mysterious entity or person is calling to Reg, or at least related to Reg, that it's said. And nothing else is really known about the 7th layer ring. So we're gonna have to wait and see. Like I said, if you guys notice anything or remember anything, go ahead and tell me. And the next item on the list is Sun Sphere, which ends at a question mark and appears to be crossed out. Perhaps put on the list for the reason of investigating other relics that seem to be sealed. This is probably the most recognizable variation of the Sun Sphere belonging to the 4th layer. It's one of the first things that pop up when you look up Sun Sphere. And as we know, relics get more complex shapes the lower you delve, and we see, much like an egg or even the Cradle of Desire, a center yolk, a circle, is sheltered within the actual sun sphere. Okay, the encasing of it. And this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a very, very long time, and this is probably the best time for it. Now, as I've said a million times, shapes are super important, at least I believe so. And some very common shapes and symbols that are related to the abyss that make me think this are swirls, locks, the moon and its inner circle, which is especially prevalent. And as we've heard from the interference units, round relics are the shape of wishes. But we can connect these together even further later on. It's also strange that there were boxes and boxes of sun spheres at Seeker Camp, which, yeah, could just be looking way too far into it, as Orth does make its wealth with relics, so really not too strange in the sense of why they'd have them in the first place, just that the connection to its shape and it being on the list of truths, and Ozen being the main leader, kind of Seeker Camp, it seems, and that Ozen knows a lot more than she puts out, I think is an important note, at least. Like I said, up there when I went through it the first time, AAND, have no idea what this could mean. Literally, zero clue. No idea. The only thing I can think of is that it's and, but I don't freaking know, man. Anyway, the next item, Lucky Sphere. This is also crossed out with a question mark next to it. Which I think definitely makes sense because a lucky sphere does not exist as a relic in Maiden Abyss. But we do know that, like stated before, round relics are the shape of wishes. So this lucky sphere could be potentially a powerful relic. Star hidden in noon. I was rewatching the second season again to refresh, and I noticed that at the very last shot of the second season, it shows us a star coming from Fapta's head with her red horns or the gems or cartilage or whatever, and it appears as a bright red star while she stares down into the emptiness of the perfect dark. And this is pretty relevant because it is quite literally a part of the Hymn of Grons, which states, quote, "The unknowingly shining soul is the red star dropped into the netherworld," end quote. Which in itself is a piece of the original Hariomari collection, and like mentioned before, could possibly be referring to Fapta. I have seen theories before my hiatus saying that Riko, being a red whistle and all, when she first ventures into the abyss at least, is the one being talked about here, okay? But Riko currently is now a white whistle, unregistered white whistle, but I don't think that matters to the abyss. I think she definitely has an importance somewhere else, at least in a different part, perhaps in the lost excerpts of the Hariomari collection of the original, but we will have to see. Any more implications about the truth star hidden in noon? I'm a little stuck with. So, like I said, if any of you guys have some, let me know. Next, special grade relic egg. Seems that the Cradle of Desire was known by somebody else, but not by the name given to it by the interference units or by the original people up there that have the language that would be deciphered by the interference units to call it a Cradle of Desire. But we can see that this might even have importance, even more importance later down the line, as the Cradle itself was responsible for the creation of Uruburu, Fapta, and a whole civilization for the Forlorn, along with my intuition that the village, I think, is a parallel or even a miniature, so to speak, of the Abyss itself, that this mystery probably could have already been thrown in our face without us even really knowing it. Now, this is a super strange one. As of now, we've yet to see anything resembling or acting like an actual bomb in the normal sense of the word. But we have seen weapons capable of completely disintegrating anything that it touches, erasing it from existence, and possibly destroying the soul itself. Though other than souls not being exactly what we would think of, might as well just return them to signals, as Sarajo said. Still, that's kind of just my speculation of it. Now, the fact that Reg's incinerator, or even Bondrud's Sporagamos, is described over and over and over as being able to rewrite the rules of the Netherworld, a blazing bright light, okay, that destroys anything it happens to touch. A weapon that none of the White Whistles have even seen before Reg, or before Girl Type in Bondrud's case. Also, the White 2K of the Abyss is referred to as the Breath, and seems to be tied to the force field and the Curse of the Abyss more than an equivalent to a bomb, like a natural disaster of a bomb. It seems to be that the curse is the mass extinction event and not really a catastrophic collapse of the city or anything like that. At least that we know of right now. I have no problem with being wrong, okay? I don't know anything concrete. Maybe it's not literal at all, and it just means, like, you know, we are a ticking time bomb. And it happening every 2,000 years would indeed make it ancient, just off one cycle alone. So, next one, Unshining Star. This one is a little weird for me. I couldn't really get anything. I don't know if it's like saying like it's a dead delver, a now dark star, a fading abyss. Is it possibly that it is unshining due to it being blocked by the noon? Whatever that means. Or maybe it's simply the name of the relic. Finally, amazing lure. The main question here is, being a lure for what? For who? Why? Is it even actually a lure? It is very, very, very possible that All of these names are names of relics, aside from the special grade Elecreg, as we obviously know that to be called the Cradle of Desire. Now, this is cool, okay? Something else I noticed when rereading is in Volume 11, okay? When Habo goes to the excavation site in the Inverted Forest, a very, very large amount of what are called forgetters are, like, stacked in this cave, right? Now, these are also called preservation units, okay? With what could only be hundreds of name tags signifying the death of a citizen of Orth all across the ceiling. And I couldn't say for sure, but this couldn't possibly be where the signals of soul are originating from, right? I mean, it's only the second layer, but at the end of the day, who really knows how this mysterious abyss works? I feel that this is more tied to the nest, as we do see a bunch of birds flocking to it, or what seems to be flocking to it, to flying to it. We don't know if these birds are the Sakawatari, I think that's what they're called. The huge bird that we see in the very, very beginning of the series, that is said to live in the 7th layer and come out every 2,000 years as a sort of omen for the incoming Y2K. Now, obviously, this entire thing is connected. The fact that the symbols on Riko's whistle, and the Princess Bosom, and the 1,000-man pins, and some of the Sun Spheres. I think there's a few more. But more prevalently is that the shape. They're all round. They're all round. And it doesn't mean circles. It doesn't need to be a perfect circle to be in the shape of a wish, because the Cradle of Desire is indeed not a perfect circle. And it's very complex, and it has the almost a piece of the essential part in it. So all of this stuff is almost building up on each other. I would like to talk about Cravali's quote of "What a shock. Looks just like the real damn thing." What? So the shape that we see in the excavation site that Habo goes to is definitely not the shape of the star compass. Actually, it resembles closer to the blue pendant that was lost ages ago. That shares more a similarity between the shapes than it does the star compass. So either A, we haven't really seen what he's referring to, which would probably make the most sense, or B, we're not making the connection to it. It's important to note that the Cradle of Desire does have a piece like that inside of the egg. It's not exactly the spherical with the ring around it, but it is the compass part, as we could call it, I suppose. It's there. I feel like it's there. The answers are definitely there. I just can't put them together. I just can't quite make sense of it. I find contradictions or things that don't even make sense to begin with. I don't know, man. But anyway, I'm gonna try not to make it too long. If you guys have any ideas, if you guys have any thoughts or corrections from mistakes that I made, please let me know. I'm trying to get back into the story and I don't know, trying to have fun with it. So until the next chapter, see you guys later.